And welcome to the EMS Underground. I am Charles McFall, media specialist here at the Georgia Institute of EMS. I am back in my studio again this week as school is closed for the holidays. And you know how this goes. I'm going to make sure everything pops up correctly on the Facebook. We do the Facebook Live. Try to do it every Thursday at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So, hey, if you just ask a paramedic anything, if you've got questions, we've got answers. Tom might be joining me via interaction on Facebook here. Let me see. How do I make sure I get comments and not hear the hoodly who? So I'm hearing the hoodly. There we go. Okay. So it is running, and I'm ready for your comment. I'll do a little test comment myself. Test comment. There it is. All right. So I can get some comments as everybody comes in. So again, I'm Charles McFall. Find all of my awesome sauce at charlesmcfall.com. Of course, find everything you need to know about Georgia Institute of EMS on Facebook at facebook.com/Georgia Institute. Both of those spelled out of EMS, OFEMS. And, of course, Georgia Institute of EMS.com. Let me double check that. Because, that's kind of my job is to try to double check this stuff. And I just jump in and I'm ready to talk. So it is right before Christmas, right? It is just before Christmas. If I remember correctly, Hanukkah's already going on. I know Kwanzaa starts right after Christmas. So whatever holiday that you observe or don't observe, it's that time. And so I hope everybody is enjoying a break from school, a break from getting everything done, studying. And you can call if you want more information. You can call 678-561-2368 and get more information about the school there. I don't have Tom right this second. It is GeorgiaEMT.com, GeorgiA, EMT.com. You can find out more about school. So that is that. I think Tom might jump in and make some comments and those kind of things going on here. All right. So, hey, stories about the holidays. What's going on? You know what? I don't have a whole lot of stories about the holidays. I do, however, have stories about driver safety. So here's the thing about driving in the ambulance. This is what I was always taught for driver safety. You always pass on the left, right? Well, okay, I just contradicted myself. I said left, right, but right was correct. Affirmative, not as in a directional sense. So you always pass on the left. And I don't know if that's been thrown out. I don't know if different companies are doing different things, if people have forgotten, gotten lazy. I don't know what the deal is, but I do know I went through EVOC too when I was on the ambulance, and that's Emergency Vehicle Operation and Command, I think is what EVOC stands for, EVOC. It wasn't at Forsyth. It was the program you get that you can do on video and stuff at your own department. Get a certification and get 10% off of your insurance for driver safety training, those kind of things. And I know it was very stressed very much passing on the left. I always did that. Even when I went through downtown Atlanta, even when I went through multi-lane highways, if my lights and sirens are on, I go to the left. Even now, driving my personal vehicle, if I'm in the middle lane, I try to go to the outside left lane to go around somebody as opposed to the inside right lane. I guess technically the right lane would be the outside, wouldn't it? If you're on a divided highway in America, the divide is always on the left. So it'd be the inside left lane, the outside right lane. Anyway, not the point. The point is you pass on the left, and that's where everybody's been taught who drives regular vehicles, right? The ambulance is going to try to pass you on the left. So pull to the right and stop. That's the idea. Pull to the right and stop. Well, one, not every citizen gets that memo with their driver's license, so they don't always do it. And I had to refresh the thing to make sure I could get comments and those kind of things. Thank you for the like, Brandon Coleman. Keep those likes and those hearts going. We absolutely need that to share, to get people to why is it refreshing it? I'm apologizing for my stuttering. I'm going to get back to talking about passing on the left. I just want to make sure that I can get everybody's comments and whatnot. So, all right, there we go. All right, so this is Ask a Paramedic Anything. My main rant today is going to be about driver safety and passing and how you should operate an ambulance. However, thought anything you want, we will tackle it. We'll talk about it. I will talk about it. There's no we. Tom is he's got construction going on at the school. You know, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. I didn't set up Skype, so I can't really Skype him in because he said there might be tons of noise anyway. So he might be messaging like last week. And Angie, I saw you liked the post. So, hey, why don't you type me something? Anyway, so here, let me go back to why I want to talk about this. Now, I'm in downtown Atlanta a lot now. I drive in and out of the city all the time. And I'm on 280. Man, I can't remember which one. It's one of the 6 lanes, right? So it's either I-20 once you get past 285. It could have been 285 coming out around the perimeter. It could have actually been 75, 85, somewhere in there. It didn't matter. It's on where you have 6 lanes of road, right? And it's towards dusk. It's not quite dark yet. Actually, I think it was on I-20. And I see an ambulance coming behind. And so if you go, number 1 lane is all the way to the right on the outside, to number 6 is on the left by the wall. I'm in like number 5 lane. Not quite actually, I was just outside I was on I-20 inside the perimeter because I was just not in the lane that you have to have 2 more people, the ride share lane. So I see it coming, and, you know, I'm in the left area, and it's in my lane coming up behind me, but it's far enough back. It's a good 6, 7 car lengths back, right? And other people are reacting. So I literally put my blinker on, look to make sure I'm not going to run into anybody, and get over to the lane. And the second I get in the lane, I look up in my rear view, and the ambulance is on my butt. He had gone to the right. And he went, and laid on the air horn. And you know what I did? I flipped him off. I mean, what am I supposed to? You were doing incorrect. I got out of your way. Blinker, dude. I want to use other language, but I've agreed not to for the sake of this show. But blinker, man. I put my blinker on to say, hey, I'm getting out of your way so you can go do what you want to do. He decided that wasn't good enough. He came over and almost hit me, laying on the air horn like it's my fault. So at that point, being the paramedic that I am, like, no, you're wrong. And I showed him with one finger how wrong he was. Going, hey, you're number 1. Get back over in that lane, except it wasn't that finger. So I wanted to ask you who are watching to feedback and say, when you drive an ambulance, when you drive your car, which side do you pass on? Now, here's how the story gets even more interesting. So after that, he lays on the horn. He then, without looking, whips it over again to the right, running a car from that lane into another right lane because he almost hit them, ends up getting over to the right. You would think, okay, maybe he's going to an exit. Maybe it's coming up, which is not how you handle that with the ambulance. With the ambulance, you go, and if you have to, you slow down, you start making your way over to make it clear to everybody who's seeing the flashing lights, oh, they're probably trying to get over here. And people will get out of your way. That's not what this asshole was doing. Sorry, Tom. That's not what this guy was doing. And he pissed. I was such shock. It was the cab. It was a DeKalb fire medic ambulance. The one, I'm pretty sure it's DeKalb, bright red or dark red with some black trim. Pretty sure that was DeKalb. But I was in such shock that he almost hit me and then he almost hit somebody else. I didn't quite lock in on what service it was and that I could call and complain and get his unit number because that was dangerous. That was putting lives in jeopardy dangerous. And it drives me crazy to even think about it. He passed the exit. So that's the part of the story I was getting to. So you think, oh, maybe he's getting over to the exit to go. Nope. He just rode that right lane past an exit and kept going. What are you doing? Are you trying to kill somebody? This gets me so angry. It gets me so worked up when this kind of thing happens. And please give me your comments. Give me your questions. I've got the page open. I can see it. But it gets me so angry because number one, we're there to help people. Number two, we always say scene safety, which is basically take care of yourself. You're not doing that. Everybody who's ever driven an ambulance, you got major blind spots. Major. Those mirrors don't do you justice. It's just a big, solid box. It's hard to really clearly see what's going on. And the fact that you're running lights and sirens and you're doing it improperly, man, it makes me kind of want to be a police officer and follow you to the hospital and lock you up. Which obviously as a medic, I would have been mad at. But this dude, he was jeopardizing lives. Not just mine, but other people's lives. And immediately I use Siri, Actually, I could do it now because it's plugged in. I can, say, hey, Siri. Yeah. And that's what I do in my car. And so I did that, and I said, text Tom, and said, hey, on our next show, we need to talk about driver education, driver safety, because I'm going to take a moment and tell a different story and bring it back to this one. So I have some friends of mine who are jailers, and I've known them for a very long time, and they're very friendly and very open to non-police force people. And they did a podcast called Two Guys, One Brain. And they kind of do it now, but not really. But they did it for about 5 years. I think there's over 500 episodes, something like that. Maybe it's more than 5 years, but they've got a number of episodes. It's good. They tell stories from the jail and those kind of things. But one of the things that happen anytime, now, not nowadays, not nowadays where you see these stories about police officers shooting people or, white officers shooting black people. Let's just be honest. That's what the stories are. They're not just stories. Some absolutely are 100% true. I don't know about the others because I wasn't there. I don't know all the facts, so on and so forth. It's not what I call to talk about. My point is they would always try to educate the public on you don't understand. We face different things in the jail than you would face on the street. So when you go, well, why didn't the cop just do this or why didn't the jailer just do that? You don't have all the answers. Well, the one time I really differed from them, really sat on the other side of the argument from them was, I believe it was the BART shooting. That's Bay Area Rapid Transport, where there was a fight on the subway or train. It might not be a subway; it could be above ground, but it was a train, the Bay Area train, and cops were there and pulling people off the train and getting all the parties involved in the fight, and they were handcuffed and laid on their stomachs. Right, that's pretty standard on how to control a suspect of any kind. And these are full-fledged police officers. Not that train security is not full-fledged or anything like that, but everybody has their own different levels of training and levels of security. So this is the actual police force for the Bay Area. And one older, wiser cop had his knee on the back of the suspect and who was handcuffed and was doing whatever, reading his rights or adjusting cuffs or something. And of course the suspect's doing what suspects do, and they wiggle and they move and they mouth off and maybe push back a little bit, fight back a little bit. And the younger, newer cop pulled his gun and shot the guy. Now, this is back in 2008, 2009, maybe 2010, somewhere. But Bay Area, BART shooting, B-A-R-T, Bay Area Rapid Transport, the BART shooting. And, I mean, immediately the story blew up. This is when stories were really starting to hit the internet big. And more and more people were on Facebook and more people were on the internet. And I had a podcast at the time, and we tackled it. And I made up my mind pretty quickly. Looking at the photos, people had just started worldwide sharing photos from their phones, and there was a whole new era, right? It wasn't just whatever the police say goes, or whatever the victims say goes. He said, she said. It was documentation, and there are pictures. And the cop who shot the kid, and he was 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there, but the police officer who shot the suspect said, "Oh, I thought it was my taser." Well, pictures prove that the gun was on his dominant side, the right-hand side. The taser was on his left-hand side, the non-dominant side. Two holsters, two distinctly differently weighted guns, if you will. Different feels, different shapes, and different procedures. When you pull a gun, you're supposed to put your finger on the trigger guard. Because it's not a quick draw situation. When you pull a taser, I don't know if you're supposed to put your finger on the trigger guard, but you are supposed to yell. From all taser training, you're all supposed to yell, taser, taser, taser. so that your people can get out of the way, like the cop that was kneeling on the suspect, and not get tased. Well, all of a sudden he pulled out his gun, fired off 2 shots in the back of this kid, almost hitting his partner. Killed him. And the backlash, of course, was huge. And I'm looking. This was evidence got out quickly. The photos of the young cop who did the shooting, the photos of how right moments before where the officer was kneeling on the suspect. So you can see he's clearly restrained, non-life threatening, anything. My point is, I called for his badge in his life. To be honest. I say he should never, ever, ever work again. And he if they have death penalty in that state, he should probably get it because he took this kid's life with no cause. And my boys, Andy and Randy, pushed back on that on their show. And it's like, if you make a mistake in your job, this and that and the other, mistakes are forgiven was their ultimate point. And this kid made a mistake. He wasn't a murderer. He wasn't, we don't know. I mean, we assume he wasn't scared because the guy was black and he was white. We don't know. But there were no signs to say this was an intentional, racial, or homicidal anything. It was just a thing. But my point, and this is where I'm going to get back to the ambulance safety and driving thing, is, and there are certain lines, certain jobs, certain careers that you can have that, I'm sorry, when mistaken, you're done. You're done. Because you can't, this world can't afford mistakes like that. And we allow it way too often. And when I call for this police officer's badge, career, and life to be over, they really got their feelings hurt. My jailer friends, Andy and Randy, 2 guys, 1 brain. But we had to sit down and talk about it. I said, look, here's the bottom line. When you're a police officer, you put your life on the line, and that's unfortunate. That's an unfortunate truth of that career. You also get essentially trained and licensed. I know there's no license to kill. This isn't James Bond. I get that. But you basically get licensed to kill if you can justify it, right? So at the time I was working on computers, I was making reports in an office. I said, if I make a mistake on this report, the worst case scenario is the doctor gets mad because they look at it and go, well, obviously you made a mistake. Because what I did was not timed to be life-saving. It's long-term medical stuff going, let's see what's going on. It takes 24 hours to record. Then they ship it to us, however long that takes. And then we had 2 days to get the report back to them. So while, yes, it's dealing with heart and medicine and stuff that's critical, typically it's still not a life-threatening, let's put you on a monitor right now, see what's going on. It's a overtime thing. So the biggest mistake I can make is, that guy's an idiot, fire him. Nobody dies. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets the wrong treatment. No bodily harm comes to anybody. When a police officer pulls their gun and shoots somebody by mistake and takes their life, there is no tolerating this. There is no allowing that to happen. That is a mistake that can never happen. And unfortunately, when you choose to put on a gun, when you choose to put on the badge, you choose to have to hesitate that moment to think and be very precise in your actions in a time that might get you killed. That's the job. So, bringing that back to the ambulance and safety and driving the ambulance. And again, those of you tuning in and out, ask me a question. If you want to take this in a different route, I'll answer anything you've got. I'm just talking about driver safety and EMS, and I backed that up with the story of a police officer shooting. Because here's the thing. When you drive that ambulance with lights and sirens and you make a mistake, well, let me back up a second. When you drive your car, I'm driving my car down the road, and I make a mistake and I rear end somebody. Or I cut them off and run them off the road, I will get to drive again. I might do some jail time. I might pay some hefty fines or, pay out lawsuits to take care of people, those kind of things. I may get into trouble, but I can drive again. More than likely. When you do this in an ambulance, when you cut somebody off, when you rear end somebody, when you're pissed off because a car that put their blinker on to move to the right because you're supposed to pass on the left, and you ride their butt, and you're up on them, laying on their horn. Where am I supposed to go? There are literally cars everywhere. And I'm being safe. I put my blinker on, moved out of your way, you got up on me. And then you whip it over because I can't get over to get out of your way because there's a car there. Oh, you didn't see the car because you're pissed off and you're driving crazy, and you whip it over into the lane and you almost kill somebody. That's your job. That's your career. You'll never work again. You hit somebody because you're being stupid in an ambulance, and you never should ever work again. Your career should be instantly over. Because when we sign up to wear, I did it the wrong side again, to wear this emblem, when we sign up to go out there and take care of people, to respond, we go through a lot of training. But we volunteer to take on the responsibility and the burden of taking care of others. With that comes a lot of downside. They didn't hit anybody. And I'm pretty sure it's the Cab Fire ambulance from the colors that I remember. It could be Henry County possibly, but I'm pretty sure it's the Cab. You weren't even getting off at the exit ramp. So you're doing everything wrong. Everything wrong. And the fact you laid on the horn tells me you're angry. It tells me you're not even thinking straight. You're not being tactical. You're not being logistical. You're not being aware of your surroundings. You're dangerous, and you need to go. You need to get off the road. You need to get off the ambulance, because that is a huge problem. So you should always pass on the left. That is everything that's ever been taught to me. But understand, just like a police officer puts on a gun, that ambulance is a weapon. It is huge. It has blind spots. It is reinforced bumpers. It's reinforced box corners. It will do more damage than one car hitting another, typically. It's got more horsepower. And I drive a little hybrid, is what I drive. And I hit the brakes. And what if I had panicked? What if I freaked out and go, oh crap, I'm in the way, and I slammed my brake? He would have killed me. Because there's nothing in my car that's going to stop an ambulance at all. He would just run right through me. And then what? Somebody mentioned, somebody who was visiting Atlanta, I also drive with Lyft from time to time. This is why I believe I'm actually good at that as well. I drive with Lyft, and it's like Uber. It's an app where you pull it up and order a car, and I come pick you up and those kind of things. And we had some visitors in from Boston or somewhere. And they saw, all the signs that we have that say stop for pedestrians at the crosswalks and those kind of things. And in Atlanta, in downtown Atlanta, people tend to just walk on out. It's a fact of life. It's what we deal with. So I'm always watching for that. Watching at any turn or any intersection, watching for the crosswalk light to see if people are going to go. People will go anyway. Some will go anyway. And quite honestly, you're taking your life in your hands. When you jaywalk in Atlanta, you're totally taking your life in your hands. But they said, people just, they were amazed essentially at how people just walk out into traffic and expect you to stop. Yeah, they do that here. They think that little yellow sign that makes them right will save their life. But here's the thing. Just because you're right doesn't mean crap when you die or when you go to the hospital. Just because you're legally correct, and this ambulance was not. But let's flip the scenario. Is the ambulance was driving safely and was legally correct, he still could have killed somebody. You hit somebody and it becomes not your fault. You still have to live with the fact you just killed somebody. It legally correct doesn't save you. Or worse, you didn't kill somebody. You avoided the accident or avoided killing somebody, and you went through the windshield, or you rolled the truck, or you hurt your partner. Being right doesn't save your life. It doesn't keep you safe. So that argument is invalid. Now, I thought I saw another one. I saw another one in Conyers the other day with National EMS. I was sitting at a light, and I was sitting at a parking lot to pull out at a light, and I saw the ambulance coming off from the right. And it is where I was. It is a bit of a divided highway there, and it's 3 lanes across, plus if you had a turn lane here or there. And they were coming up, and I noticed they weren't laying on the horn. They were doing the alternating sirens to air horns, sirens to air, siren, 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 wah, 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 And it gets your attention, and breaking it up helps people figure out what's going on. I get that. And at first, because this had just happened to me in Atlanta with the DeKalb fire about them passing on the wrong side of the road and tailgating me and laying on the air horn. So I watched them, and I'm like, they're doing it too, and I'm getting mad. But then they actually turned into a parking lot. So what they were doing was actually letting people know, hey, we're moving slowly over to the side, to the right side. And they weren't passing. But here's the thing. Here's what I was taught, and I'm actually curious to have your comments back to see what you have to say about it. But here's what I was taught. Even if you're going to go, you're coming up and your turn is to the right. My understanding is you're still supposed to come up on the left and have everybody pull out of the way, come out into the intersection, and then turn, basically cutting everybody off. Because people still expect you to pass on the left. So I believe, and I don't work for National anymore, their policy could be different. I wasn't the driver. It's possible that it may be safer, easier to go there. So no judgments, just commentary on what I saw. I still believe the safest route was to get everybody to move to the right, come out through the intersection, and turn in and go into that parking lot there you were going to. What they ended up doing was coming in on the right, getting in the turn lane, and going in. The best case scenario is not that. See, it's right is dead, man. People, the exits are to the right. You know how many people in Atlanta alone go, oh crap, my exit's over there, and just go across 3, 4, 5 lanes of traffic to their exit? A lot. You know how many idiots start to get off an exit and stop and get in that median? Or maybe they don't stop and they ride the emergency light to get back in the traffic? I have been in an ambulance in downtown Atlanta. This is a long time ago and worked off of Northside Drive. I worked for some fly-by-night ambulance company that I can't even remember right now. And we got a 911 backup call. We were the backup for the area for AMR or Rural Metro, whoever was up there at the time. And so we were going on this call, and we were in the left lane. We had the red light. This way had the green light. Lights and sirens at the red light. The traffic that had the green light did not stop at all. We actually had to sit there for like a minute and a half to 2 minutes to wait for the light to change. Lights and sirens. Because you're only asking for permission. You're only asking for permission. If you don't get permission to cut people off and you do it anyway, you legally violated the law and you'll lose your career. You will be responsible for all damage and all injuries, and there's a good likelihood you'll be prosecuted. Because we are held to a higher standard, and we should understand that going into the field. That's the way it is. So we sat at the light. It amazed me. I was a brand new EMT, and I was blown away. I could not believe the people in Atlanta would not let us through. It just blew me away. But that's what it was. We had to wait for that light to change. The light changed. We went through and kept on going. Do you guys... Okay, why did I not get this comment? I just saw one pop up. Maybe it wasn't on the video. Maybe it was on something else. I just saw a comment about the class. I don't know. I just saw a comment pop up. Let me see if I can find it. Because I definitely want... a message. A message. Okay, that's something not related to the video here. So... That's the idea. Oh, here we go. Now I wasn't getting the comments before. All right, Angie, thank you. Whichever side doesn't have a card in it. So she's been responding. Apparently I was not seeing the comments like I thought I was supposed to, or thought I would. So Angie actually says about passing, about whatever side doesn't have a car in it. That's can be fair enough when you're in a regular vehicle in a multi-lane road. Proper logistics and training says always pass on the left in every situation. Typically, we deal with single lane highways, so one lane going this way, one lane going that way, right? And the only way to pass is to go into the other lane and come back on the left. Or you have a dual lane highway with 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going the other. The slow traffic's supposed to stay to the right, and the faster traffic passes on the left. But when you do add 4, 5, 6 lanes together, it can become. I have done it in my car, absolutely going, okay, there's people over here going slow, but there's nobody over here. But when you're in the ambulance going lights and sirens, it's not an option. No. No, I'm not yelling at you, Angie. I'm yelling at this ambulance that about killed me. It's not an option. You want to leave that lane open to get the people to go over there, to move. Pull the Andre the Giant. Everybody move! And they move over. Angie asked, were you ever in an accident on the truck? We actually talked about this in one of the other episodes, but no, I have not personally been in an accident while I was on the ambulance at all. Unless you consider bumping a pole. All right, here's a fun one. Here's a fun one for you. Brand new EMT, that's me. I was a brand new EMT. And I had worked for that fly-by-night service in Atlanta. It's the only place that would return my call, and they hired me. They went under without ever paying me. Bad situation. I'm living in Athens at the time at my parents' house. I was 20-ish and I worked for this company. And so I finally got Athens Regional to accept my application, to give me the time of day. And it got hired, PRN, to work there. I don't know why they ever hired me. They freaking never intended to train me or to give me any kind of guidance. They just were like, here, fill a hole. And it was a bad situation. And I needed a lot of training and a lot of guidance, and they never intended on giving that to me, so I have no idea why they hired me. But funny story is I'm with George. I can't remember George's last name, but he was one of the captains there. He was so quiet and stoic. And he had me drive everywhere. He was teaching me to drive the ambulance. And I mean, he helped me out some. And one or two others kind of told me a little bit, but I didn't get any kind of real official guidance. Anyway, so we get a call, George and I, we get a call to somebody fell off a billboard. Like one of the workers were up on a billboard and working on it and fell. And we're picturing, 20, 30 feet in the air, had a helicopter on standby, and we're rolling up. And he goes, you get the jump back. Now, as we roll up, we see it's actually a really low level billboard. So it's maybe 8 to 10 feet off the ground instead of the ones you picture on the interstate. I mean, still not great, but not what we expected. I don't know what I did, but I remember I get there and I get out of the truck and it feels like I'm walking super fast to the back of the truck. And I realize the truck's rolling forward as I'm walking backwards. So I'm like, oh crap. And I jump back in the truck and slam on the brake and throw it in park. I forgot to park the ambulance when we got there. I was so puppy dog, just, how can I help? And he just looked at me. He actually laughed a little bit, which is not something he did a lot of. He actually just kind of laughed at me. I felt so stupid. I did get the bag. The guy ended up being fine. I think we transported him. And I don't remember getting a whole lot of grief. I probably got a little grief for it, but he was just like, so, you learned something? I went, yes, sir. I learned to put it in park before I get out of the truck. But yeah, that was dumb. That was dumb on my part. I have had some interesting situations where we went down tiny, tiny roads in Athens, and you had to pull the mirrors in on the truck just to make it through because there's just parked so tight you couldn't get through. I do remember another one. So I think it's a scenario where everybody is wrong in this situation. I'm going to possible heart attack. I'm the paramedic. I'm driving for whatever reason. I have my EMT partner. And I've been working for National for a very long time, had a pretty good reputation, and was full of myself, absolutely. But, you know, it's a pretty good medic and a pretty good captain and, you know, whatever. And we're driving through Conyers, and there's a section of road that has 2 lanes on either side, but it has a concrete divider. And I'm going down, and I see up ahead, I mean, just cars, both lanes packed all the way back. And there's a concrete divider. There's no way to get through. And I look, and on the other side of the concrete divider where the oncoming traffic would be, no cars, nothing. And so I as soon as I hit a space, I went through the space, went to the other side of I went to the oncoming traffic side. Lights and sirens. I slowed down. I didn't speed. And I'm coming, and I can see in the distance. I'm talking way in the distance. I see this idiot truck. I see people see me. You know, I'm going slow enough to, hey, register, I'm here. They're getting over. This one idiot truck, instead of pulling to the right, yanks it. And hits the concrete curb and goes up on it. And just, I mean, like, what kind of idiot are you? What the hell, man? And I think even before I got to him, there was a hole, and I got back over on my side of the road and kept going. And we went, and it was a chest pain call. It was a true chest pain call. We did our business, handled our medicine as we were supposed to handle them, transported to the hospital. As soon as I went clear, one of the owners of the company asked me to come back to headquarters. And so I did. And the short and sweet of it is the person in the truck that was an idiot. Because I am not kidding you. Were you talking about you could stand on one side of the football field and see the other side? Right? They were a good 50 to 80 yards away from me. And they panicked and yanked it and went up on the curb. And all I had to do was stop. Because before I even got to them, I went in and got back on my side of the road. So it was just a stupid thing for them to do. They freaked out. Well, then they got mad and they called National. And it's some off-duty cop from I guess DeKalb and I have issues. I don't know. But some off-duty cop from DeKalb County. And just he raised hell about how I was driving crazy and this and that and other. And I didn't hardly even get a chance to speak because this guy was just railing me. Not the truck driver, but the person at the company. And I finally just interrupted him. He was like, dude, I'm not going to put up with that crap. I'm just done. No. Here, let me tell you what really happened. And you should take my side because I work for you and I've worked for you for almost 5 years now. And I've got a history of not doing stupid crap. So here's what's going on. And he still wrote me up. And it was a big mess after that. But my point was, I'm going to a possible heart attack. I made a judgment call because there was zero place to go with these other cars. Open road right here. Everybody, there were 6 to 8 other cars oncoming that all saw me and pulled over gently. None of them wrecked. None of them hit a median. Only this idiot pulled to the left into the concrete median. Now, it's not a wall. It's one of those raised, basically curb style medians. So his ultimate answer was, I should have stayed on my side of the road, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I said maybe everybody's wrong. Sure. Okay. Maybe I should have. Maybe the safest possible option was to stay where I was and just come up behind the cars and slowly make them shuffle out of the way and go around them. I chose, because it was a possible heart attack, to go where the no cars were. I think I can justify it. Does that make me right? Not necessarily. Had I hit a car head on, I imagine there would have been a lot of things to answer for sure. It could have been handled better, sure. I think he was wrong, the guy chewing me out, because one, you should first always find out what's going on, especially inside your own company, before you start taking the side of some idiot. And I definitely believe the truck driver, the off-duty cop, you're really off-duty. You should know better. If you're a cop, you need to be fired. There's no way you need to be on the road with a gun if your first reaction when you see lights and sirens coming at you over 80 yards away is to ram your truck up on a concrete curb because you're an idiot. This is before we had cell phones and video. And that's a question I wonder about. I wonder if ambulances are doing dash cams now, because that would be interesting if they did. So, but that's my driver safety today is you're driving a weapon. And while I am sure I've blacked out some stupid stuff that I've done, I'm sure people who are around me could tell stories of some stupid things I've done. I hope, because I remember it this way, but I hope the truth is that I worked very hard to be safe and to keep other people safe. And actually I did, because I actually got called Miss Daisy every once in a while, although it was the Morgan Freeman who drove Miss Daisy. It wasn't Miss Daisy who went that slow. Well, she wanted him to go slow, but anyway, I had partners call me Miss Daisy because I would drive, even with licensed sirens, sometimes I'd drive slower than the speed limit because I felt it was safer. Because I want to make sure that I clear intersections and I want to make sure that people get off the road safely. I want everybody to have the safest possible experience. So I would drive slowly sometimes. And I took some good-natured ribbing about being Miss Daisy and slowing down and those kind of things. But the fact of the matter is you're responsible for every choice you make. You're responsible for how you react, for how you act. You're responsible for seeing ahead or closing your eyes. And so if you find yourself driving in this holiday season, and it's coming up to be the busiest traffic day of the year with Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the busiest traveling day of the year, slow it down. Slow it down. Everybody's going somewhere. Be the rock star of your life, right? Oh, I got this party starting. I got to be there. My family's waiting on me. You know what? You'll be there when you be there. They'd much rather have you there safely than in the hospital or not there. And I've always felt like when I was in trouble in the moment and somebody's like, oh, what would happen? Okay. Little side note. I was speeding. I was absolutely in the wrong one morning. I was running late to work. I lived in Madison in Morgan County, where National EMS is, in one of the counties they are. And I was working for National, and I was living in town, and I was supposed to go the 15 minutes up or whatever to the other station up in the countryside, up in North Morgan County. And I'm stuffy today, and I apologize for the sound quality for that. But I was going through the square, the old town of Madison in the square. And it's like 35, 30, somewhere in there. And I was going too fast. I think I was doing 55 through there. And it was early Sunday morning. Nobody was out. But that was all justification. I was wrong. I was breaking the law. Well, sure enough, as I'm going out, I pass a state trooper going the other way. Now, here's a universal thing. You get what you ask for, right? I could have been like, oh, man, please just be cool. Just go on the other way. I'm sorry. I just keep, saying all this, to the universe, to God, whatever. I could have been that way. Instead, I was like, what you gonna do? What? I was cocky and I was stupid. And I turned at the square and went up to where I was going. And sure enough, he had done a U-turn, was following, he pulled me over. And basically I asked to be pulled over with my attitude and my recklessness. And I'm saying I was wrong. I was in my personal vehicle, but still, I was wrong. And it was a state trooper I'd worked with on various wrecks and scenes. He recognized me, I recognized him. But here's what he said. I smarted off because I do that from time to time. He goes, what would have happened if you got in a wreck and your crew had to come out and you died and your crew came out to work you? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't care. I'd be dead. So that's a valid point, sir. I was an ass. What can I say? And he didn't know what to say. He didn't give me a ticket. He just gave me a warning. And of course, my partner, who was one of the biggest loudmouths of the county, passed us on the side of the road going up to the station because he was running late too, apparently. And so by the time I get there, everybody knows I got pulled over. And it's like, who cares? Who cares that I got pulled over? But I changed my attitude. I changed my attitude that day, after that day. So I'm not saying be safe because people love you. Hey, you know what? I don't know you. Maybe nobody loves you. Maybe nobody wants you around. I don't know. What I'm saying is you control your life. You choose your path. So I'm asking you to choose safety. I'm asking you, when you get in that ambulance, to choose to take that extra second to think about what's about to happen next, to try to see 3-4 steps ahead, to, as much as it looks easy to go over here to the right where there's no cars, to possibly stay to the left, because that is what everybody's been trained to do. Because what if somebody, we know people don't pay attention these days. We know people are just out of touch, and they text, even though you're not supposed to text and drive. They text. They go, "Hey Siri, do such and such." Oh, screw you, Siri. But we know messing with the radio, talking, phone conversations, texting, people can be distracted easily. So we know, even though you say, "Hey, there's no cars over here on the right," and you go to the right, they can just wake up all of a sudden and go, "Oh crap, there's a siren," and pull out. Not look. And what are you going to do? From my understanding, it's against the law to pass on the right in an ambulance on lights and sirens. That's my understanding. I may be incorrect. I wish Tom was here. We will actually ask some of these questions when Tom and I connect again. But if they pull out to the right where they're supposed to go and you're there, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're not going to go help the person you were going to help. So I ask that you choose safety. I ask that you choose to be wise. And I ask that you have a great holiday season and you get out there and enjoy the time with your family. Enjoy whatever it is that makes you happy. Go with what makes you happy. That's all I can say. If you want to hear more of me, more of this stuff, I do a show every week called Rock God of Podcasting. Check it out on charlesmcfall.com. I do a Pokemon Go show. I have comic book show called Breaking the Panel, and there's other things. Giant Size Team Up Network does I run a whole network of comic book based shows that has other people on it. So if you like more of this stuff, come check me out, charlesmcfall.com. And of course, if you want to get ready for the new year of EMS, Georgia Institute of EMS on Facebook. It is, let's see, they're, of course, in Covington, Georgia, 678-561-AEMT or 2368. That's 678-561-2368. And where's the .com? Here it is. GeorgiaEMT.com. That's GeorgiaEMT.com. If you want to email the show, ask us questions. It's Tom and I. And if Tom can't be here, it's me. So if you want to ask a direct question, you want to get heard, you want to get something answered, email emsunderground@GAIEMS.com. emsunderground@GAIEMS.com. That's going to be it for today. I appreciate those of you who did come along, who did the likes and the shares and the posts. And if you come by afterwards and we're not live, like it, share it, love it, laugh it, put some comments in. I see all of that stuff. I see it all. I am the, wrong side again. I am the media specialist. So I absolutely see your comments and see your shares and posts. And I will be more than happy to get on and answer questions directly or be corrected. I am open to be corrected. If what I said here today was wrong, incorrect in some way, absolutely let me know so I can be educated and do better in the future. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for being here for the ride. Have a great holiday season. And we'll catch you next week right after Christmas.